There you go, Pat. That's one way to check a couple boxes. They're 2 decades in the making. Win a playoff game, check, and then just finish off the series real quick so we can all stop talking about it.
Those were 2 hellacious baseball games. They really were fun. They were 3-1, 2-0. Wasn't exactly like the boys ripped the cover off the ball, but and we got to see the dumbest pitching move in the history of baseball too. So that was fun. You don't get to see that every day.
That was decided 2 days in advance,
yes,
right?
Yes, it was. It was idiotic, and let's never again rip Rocco for being too analytic bound, because there's no way even the Twins in their crazy. They would have let Dylan Bundy keep pitching if he was pitching like that, and much less Jose Berrios. And the manager was trying to tell us in his own way. It was the boys upstairs that made this decision, not me. Yeah. When he was, you were downstairs too, right, Jed? Did you go downstairs?
No, I was post-game Twins vent line.
He said several times, we make these decisions, they're well thought out decisions, basically, by people on the field and off the field. Basically he was saying whoever their Josh Kalk is told them to do this, and it was when the guy got up in the first time, Judd and I were sitting next to each other, and I said, maybe because of his Japan background, this is the way he gets ready for the next day's start. Maybe instead of pitching and throwing in between, maybe he does it, in the second inning of the game before he makes the start or something. The idea that they were going to bring him into the game. I think he started, didn't he get up in the second inning, Judge?
Yes. Yep. He got up in the second and fourth, and they also had at least 2 other pitchers, including Romano, get up, I think, in the second or third.
So what is this dedication to using your entire roster in an elimination game? Presumably you started the game with your best players, right?
Yeah.
So what? We got to use our entire roster. God, it was. I think we probably know why Charlie Montoya got fired there. He probably told someone to take a hike.
Rocco's guy.
When they told him. Now he was a Tampa guy where they do a lot of this stuff, but
Tampa has to, because they don't always have. They do now with a healthy Glass now, though they got bounced out.
But here's the bottom line. They gave this man $131 million.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let him. And he's cruising, and you're not going to let him pitch 5 or 6 innings? It's unbelievable. It was just, it's beyond wacky. And, it was incredible. And Jose, of course, played the good soldier afterwards. I suppose he's making $131 million, so he didn't want to rip him. But deep in his heart, he had to think these guys were the biggest idiots that ever lived. And we know, and they should know him by now, when Jose is free and easy and not nervous, he's a hell of a pitcher. The trouble with him here was he'd have a nice 2 months, and then he'd have a bad start, and he'd get in his head so much that it would go like 5 starts before he'd get his stuff back together. And he's a nervous, high-strung guy, but there was no sign of that yesterday. It was incredible.
Yeah. And that poor guy, too, because the last playoff game he pitched in Target Field before yesterday was the exact same thing when the Twins yanked his ass out against the Astros.
So was that 4 innings or 5? 5 innings.
I think that was 5, but he was, but same thing, just absolutely great.
You want to know the difference between these Twins and those Twins? That team hit a lot of home, won a lot of games, did a lot of stuff, but they brought in Cody Stashak to replace him in the 6th inning. Mm-hmm. They ain't going to have to bring in Cody Stashak if they got if they're in a 1-run ball game with this bullpen. This is, as a lifelong follower of the Twins, I think it's now, I gotta be cautious here, because sometimes they only had 4 or 5 guys in the bullpen, right? And they pitch the same guys every day. Yeah, Worthington, Johnny Klipstein, these guys. But as a deep bullpen, that's the best one they've ever had. And in all those years of success, certainly way deeper than they had to win 2 World Series. You know, Wani and Carl Willis, and one year Wani, one time Carl Willis, and
Yeah.
pray. They went about 3 deep back then, and then then brought in David West and said prayers, and stuff. So this is a terrific bullpen, and they aren't going to have to bring in Cody Stashak, that's for sure.
No, it also helps, like, your relievers look better and your starters look better when you have a center fielder. I mean, they've had great center fielders historically, but add Michael Taylor to the list of just reliable center fielders, and more importantly, Correa at short. When you're that solid up the middle with your gloves.
Well, I said this to Rocco. I asked him the question. I said, 8th inning, you could start off with a run in and another guy on base, but you have Michael Taylor in center field and Carlos Correa at shortstop, and you have 2 outs because Taylor went back and caught that screamer that Jake Cave might have killed himself trying to catch, and then Correa made a really underrated play, I think, on that chopper that was toward the hole, because his, everybody can make sidearm throws, but they can't all make them with accuracy. That's and his sidearm throws the last 2 days are fantastic. He is something, and he gets hit in the hand there, and I think everyone who was there had to go, oh no, but he says he's okay. So.
They did an X-ray, by the way, right after the game was over, before the champagne celebration. No break, so he said he's good to go.
Yeah,
the pickoff play though, boys, like, and the sidebars about how that went down, and the fact that he identified the crowd, like, if that play-by-play of that, like, that's a next level smart.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. It really is. It is. We can work this, and I guarantee you what they really said was, if we can get that dummy Vlad on second base, we can pick him off, because he'll do something stupid and he can't hear the coach telling him to get back. I can guarantee you it wasn't just a generic, we could pick somebody off. Hey, we've been watching Vlad wander around in a fog for 3 years here. Great talent, but goofy. And they knew who they wanted to pick off if he got to second base.
Yes.
All along.
What's amazing about baseball too, though, is Sonny Gray mentioned, it is something that you do work on in spring training, and it might happen like once in the regular season. And there's 27 outs times 162 games. There's this flood of outs, and you might only unleash that play twice over 6 months,
Yes.
And to get that opportunity in that situation with the perfect base runner, it's a close game, playoffs, like,
Lodds, it's Lodds picking off the guy at third, Darrell Evans in Detroit in Game 4 when the Tigers are rallying hard, and he picks him off third base. And but this was, this one won the game. They were, that was the big threat right there, and they won the game. And he is, he disappoints you when he hits into 30 double plays and bats 230. And but damn, he's a good shortstop. I had no idea he was this good. I knew he was. He knew he was good, and I guess people knew. Didn't he win the Platinum Glove one year?
Yes.
I think he did.
Last year in Houston.
Obviously, he's terrific. But man alive, he sees the game. That's what I give him credit for too. He came back here with his tail between his legs for $100 million less than he thought he was going to make, and he ended up, until that last week, he ended up playing I think he started all but 5 games at shortstop, and he plays. He doesn't bail out. And Judd and I were both talking about how much better he's running since he ripped his plant, since that thing tore on him. He flying to first base,
infield single, sprinting on defense over here.
First to third.
And if you, I mean, not to like get too far ahead of ourselves, but as you project to next year, presumably with the foot issue in the rearview mirror, you're going to get the full version of Correa for 6 months in 2024. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, I agree with you. And I looked it up again. It's the ankle. They're worried about an ankle surgery that took place in 2014. I gotta think. I'm thinking that both teams, the Mets certainly wanted out of the deal after the Cohen stopped drinking Mai Tais in Hawaii. Then somebody called him the next morning and said, "What the hell are you doing? We already got unbelievable amount of money invested." And as far as the Giants backing out, I don't know what that was about, but it can't be some injury from 9 years ago, and there was some surgery, and then maybe 3 years from now it'll break down. I don't know.
The Mets, the shame of the entire thing, and where Correa sort of got a break, I guess, was, if you recall, the Mets were going to keep Lindor at short and move Correa to third base.
Yeah, which would be the stupidest thing of all time.
I mean, watching that guy play short, he was injured all season long, and I dare you to find a slew of plays he didn't make because of that.
Yeah. I mean, he had to. When did that thing first show up?
May,
really?
Early.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he did. You did see it in his running, and you can see the difference in his running.
Yep.
He's running better, and they would just be so much less. And Michael Taylor, he's not a hitter. Okay, he hit a ball out of the park once in a while, but man, he's good. How many? What, he catch 4 balls that the backup center fielders here wouldn't have caught the last 2 days in the series? 2 for sure.
The dive coming in, the play at the wall for sure,
and then at least 1 or 2.
2 yesterday.
The one laser that was hit right at him, like over his head. That was
terrible. And it's funny. Yesterday there was one. Was it yesterday? He didn't get the good jump on it, but there was a deep left center there, but you knew he was going to catch it. Even though it was, he had a little bit of a hesitation, but he still, you knew he was going to catch it. And those 2 positions, man, makes all the difference. Those are the 2 that count, especially now that you can't they didn't put 3 guys on the left side of the infield that often, but the shortstop, if the guy was the shortstop could just go over and play in the hole. If it was a right-handed pull hitter, and now he's got to play legitimate shortstop.
So now I think the question now is, how much closer to getting Royce Lewis back to third base are they? Because then everything aligns even better.
Yes.
Right now you got Polanco back where he belongs, and Julian can still be in the lineup at DH.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, Lewis was. Didn't he? The one ball I thought he ran fairly hard, didn't you, Judd? Yesterday, the one he thought he had a chance to maybe beat it out, but he didn't.
He was trying, but there's not much there.
He didn't run 100%, but they didn't want him running 100% yesterday. So I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think this is not the invincible Houston that we've seen in the past. So you got a chance. You got a chance to win a ball game there, and you might surprise the world.
Yeah. No, they're still good. Some of it depends on how do you feel about this version of Justin Verlander. Who do the Twins start in Game 1? Yeah. But if you can get Game 1 against Verlander in Houston, now you're coming back with Pablo and Sonny in Games 2 and 3.
Yeah,
very interesting.
It's got to be Joe Ryan, I would imagine. The only other option is Bailey Ober. They're not going to pitch. They're not going to pitch Lopez on short rest. I don't think this early in the thing.
Who would get Game 4?
Huh?
Bailey Ober in Game 4, or do you start Maeda in any of these games?
I pitch for Bailey Ober. If I'm gonna probably have Maeda ready to go behind Joe Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. So I like Bailey. I like Bailey Ober a lot. I thought he had a hell of a year. He had they thought he kind of wore down and started giving up some home runs, but I like him better than Joe Ryan, actually. I don't think they have the guts to do that, though. But they did pitch him Sunday. He could pitch Saturday if you wanted him to. So.
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
They haven't announced it yet, though. That'd be a ballsy move, though. And then that really, you're giving the message to Joe Ryan that you don't think he's got it anymore. So
yeah,
I don't know. you can't have a lot of sentiment at this time of year. I mean, and they proved they don't have a lot. They didn't put Buxton on the roster. So
Yeah.
And Jeffers got both games, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
That one really did shock me. I was looking back. I just wrote something for the paper. I was looking back to the November day when we revealed the new jerseys. We revealed the new era. The models were Arise, Buxton, Polanco, and then Jose Miranda and Joe Ryan were the models for that. So
two of them gone. Well, one of them
Jose
gone.
Miranda was the future.
Yeah.
He was the future in at that time of year. I mean, that time. So
yeah.
And they didn't. That same night they signed Kyle Farmer to be the shortstop. He was going to be your shortstop. So it is a different looking bunch here right now. And the team we badmouthed all the way through July because they couldn't hit. They didn't hit now, but it was a different kind of not hitting. It wasn't like 14 strikeouts and Joey going up there and why is he on the team, and the whole mystery of the thing. It's they kind of it could be 3 and done. I don't think it will be against Houston, but they certainly are a different looking team than they were the last 2 months compared to what they were all summer.
Yes, they are. And Pat, we do have to run, but let's do it again tomorrow. We know we've got you an extra day this week, but let's do it again tomorrow.
No problem.
Lay out a great weekend in Minnesota sports.
Yes. Hey, fantastic. Bring on Michigan. They've beaten them all.
Bring on Michigan. Bring on the Chiefs.
I knew that was coming. Swifties. Bring on Michigan.
They've beaten them in bigger. They beat Jim Harbaugh, 1986. We got a story about it in the Strip today. Harbaugh was the losing quarterback.
Yep. So, let's get it again. All right. See you, Pat. That's Royce Unchained, presented by our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. Not a lot of throttle therapy needed this week if you're a Twins fan. But, hey, Power Lodge is Minnesota's CF Moto Superstore. And since they buy more, you get to save more. And Power Lodge has new deals to get you ready for your fall escape. The weather today is just beautiful, crisp fall air. It's amazing. You can save thousands on CF Moto off-road and side-by-sides, 4x4 starting at $45.99. So get ready for whatever the wilderness brings you here these fall months. Check them out. Multiple locations, Ramsey, Sauk Rapids, Anamia, St. Cloud, Brainerd. Power Lodge is your go-to destination. PowerLodge.com.